Welcome back. And I hope that you were successful in writing your delete of a lesson. If not, this is the code right here. You might want to pause the video if you were unable to get it to work. And let me just walk through it real quickly so we can move on to new material. But basically, we were doing just pretty much what we did in the last video, where we are setting the ID of the lesson we want to delete is as a URL parameter, and then we deconstruct that off of the rec.params object by putting the colon in front of it. It's sort of identifying it as a rec.params object. Then we deconstruct that off as a nice clean variable now called ID. And then we create a variable called deleted, and we look for it. Say, hey, does this ID match any ID that's in the lessons array? If so, store that deleted object here in this variable. Then, if that object exists, if there's a value in here, it becomes truthy, and deleted will execute this code here, where it will filter out of the array the lesson that matches that ID that we passed in. And then we return a status of 200 for successful, and then we will return the deleted object in case the client or the front side wants to display or show the information that was actually deleted. If they don't want to show it, they don't have to, but at least we can return it to them in the form of a JSON. Say, hey, this is the object that we deleted. If it doesn't find it, if this isn't truthy, if this is null, and then this becomes falsy, then it'll go down here, and we're going to show them a status code of 404 and send them a message saying we were unsuccessful. Well, I hope that you were successful. If not, you can pause the video and make your code look like this, and then do a couple test posts, input a couple lessons in Postman or Insomnia, and then test out your new delete endpoint. As for now, we're going to move on. And so we have done a post, a delete, and a get. Let's do a different kind of get. Right now, these gets will get us all the channels and all the lessons. Right here. Right here, we're getting all the channels and all the lessons. What if we don't want all the channels? What if we're looking for a specific channel or a specific lesson? Well, let's write an endpoint that does that. And the strategy we're going to use is going to be exactly the same as we just used right here. We're going to use a URL parameter and pass in the ID of the specific channel or lesson that we're looking for. So, without further ado, it's a get, and it's /API/channels, and then we pass in our URL parameter, the homies, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to deconstruct that ID off of the URL there. So ID equals rec.params. Then we're going to say, we're going to do kind of exactly almost this kind of logic, but we're going to change the variable name. So let's create a variable called found, and not lessons, but channels. We're finding, I should have copied the other one, channel, for every channel. And so now we are going to use the find method for arrays and say, look, do any of the channels in the array match the ID that we passed in? And if so, store that channel in this variable. And now that we've done that, we can say if found, then we're going to do something else, then we can return a status of 404 and chain onto a JSON with a message, a helpful message saying channel does not exist, maybe something like that. Else, if we do find it, then we can say res.status of 200 for successful, and we'll attach a JSON with the found, because we have, if it finds it in the array, then it stores it right in this variable, and we can return that right there, and this converts it to a JSON object. Let's save that. Let's go and test it out. So I'm using Insomnia this time. This is the one I prefer, but just for a change up, just to show you how it works, let me do a basic get on the channels, and let's see what I get. Oh, I got to start up my server. Let's yarn server. All right, now we can test it out. Now let's do, okay, so empty array. That's because every time we save our code, it empties out. So let's do a post, and let's input some channels. Well, let's input that one there. And maybe let's go backwards 2, and let's enter one more. So we'll have 3. Great, let's do a get on that. Make sure we get all those 3. We do. Cool. Now let's test our new endpoint, which is also a get. We're going to go up here and we're going to pass in one of these IDs. Let's get the second one. Let's copy that ID right there. And let's paste it in. And boom, there we go. We were able to successfully use a URL parameter on a get endpoint. So your mission, if you choose to accept it, is now you go write one use for the lessons. And then in the next video, I'll have the solution code to that, as well as we will in the next video go over the final operation in CRUD is the update, where we will be looking at both a put and a patch verb. These are verbs on how we do that. I hope this is helpful, and I hope you're successful with writing your lesson by ID endpoint. Thank you.